न्यूयॉर्क की अखबार पढ़ लो, देश के लोग जवाब पढ़ते हैं तो कहते हैं जी आप आज के चेक कर लो जी, यूपी के अंदर आज ये वाला केस हो गया, आज महाराष्ट्र में ये हो गया, आज उत्तराखंड में ये हो गया। अरे भाई बात शराब की चोरी की करते हैं तो ये जाके पहुंच जाते हैं जर्मन में, जब हिटलर आया था, हिटलर नाजी था, तो उसने रशिया को ये बोला था। अरे लोग पूछते हैं भैया तुमने शराब में कितने पैसे कमाए, उसका जवाब दो। तो बोलते हैं जी कि स्कॉटलैंड में जो है वो बहुत अच्छी स्कॉच बनती है, वो स्कॉच इंडिया में जब आएगी। इनका तो कोई सवाल का जवाब ही नहीं देते, तो क्या करोगे आप?
बट सिरसा साहब ये भी बताइए, अभी ईडी रेड्स ऑनगोइंग है, सीबीआई ने अपनी इन्वेस्टिगेशन जारी रखी है, तो इन्वेस्टिगेशन तो हो रही है। इस तरह के प्रोटेस्ट से जो डिमांड्स हैं जो बीजेपी सामने रख रही है, इस इन्वेस्टिगेशन के अलावा और क्या चाहती है बीजेपी?
नहीं तो देखिए, सीबीआई अपना काम करे, ईडी अपना काम करे, तो लोगों के अंदर है जो चुनी सरकार के जो चुने लोगों के एमएलए हैं वो क्या करें? वो घर में अपनी चद्दर तान कर सो जाएं और कहें कि जब पूछे कि भाई अगर करप्शन हुई है तो तुम लीडर में ऑपोजिशन में तुम क्या कर रहे हो? सर हम तो सो रहे हैं जी, लेकिन ईडी कर रही है। तो ये केजरीवाल ही थे ना जो बड़े बड़े बंडल लेके बैठते थे और कहते थे सबूत हैं, ये मेरे पास सबूत हैं, मैं ये सारे सबूत दूंगा। अब हम पूछते हैं भैया दे दो, तो बोलते हैं हमारे एमएलए को 20-20 करोड़ में खरीदने लगे। हमने कहा भैया कौन खरीदने लगे? इसका नाम मैं नहीं बताऊंगा, ये नाम मैं बिल्कुल नहीं बताऊंगा, छुपा के रखूंगा। तो अब क्या हाल है हमारे पास? सड़कों पे ना उतरे। अब तो अरविंद केजरीवाल मीडिया को भी फेस नहीं करते, आजकल तो एक माइक रखते हैं एएनआई का और अकेले बोलकर चले जाते हैं दीवार के साथ, कोई सवाल भी नहीं पूछ सकता। आज कभी ये लोग जो आज से पहले लोगों की बात करते थे, आम आदमी पार्टी की बात करते थे, ये एक देश के संविधान की बात करते थे, ये देश के अंदर राजनीतिक अस्थिरता की और स्थिरता की बात करते थे, आज वो लोग दीवार से बातें कर चले जाते हैं, आप उनसे सवाल भी नहीं पूछ सकते।
तो जो केजरीवाल साहब जो एलिगेशन लगा रहे हैं बीजेपी के अगेंस्ट, ऑपरेशन लोटस, एमएलए खरीदने का जो आरोप है, वो उसको आप सिरे से खारिज कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, हम तो कह रहे हैं वो बताएं तो सही, किसने उनके एमएलए खरीदने की बात की? उस आदमी का नाम बोले नहीं बताऊंगा, तो आप उन आदमी का नाम पूछोगे तो ये थैचर की बात करने लगेंगे, मार्केट थैचर जब प्रेसिडेंट।
वो तो कह रहे हैं उनके पास सबूत है और वक्त आने पे वो सबूत रिलीज करेंगे।
उनके पास सबूत है तो देना, किसको देंगे? क्या उसके लिए अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति जी को बुलाना पड़ेगा या रशिया के राष्ट्रपति को बुलाना पड़ेगा? अरविंद केजरीवाल जी सबूत किसको देंगे? उसका नाम बता दें, हम उसको हाथ पैर जोड़कर भारत ले आएंगे कि भैया अरविंद केजरीवाल तुम्हें सबूत देना चाहते हैं, तो बता दें किसको देना चाहते हैं।
अब आगे बीजेपी की अगली रणनीति क्या है? व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट स्टेप?
नहीं देखिए, हम तो केवल उनको ये पूछ रहे हैं कि आप बताइए 2% से 12% शराब पे कमीशन क्यों की और इसके पीछे कौन कौन है? दिल्ली के एक सेचर को 3500 करोड़ रुपए का लॉस हुआ, क्यों हुआ? इसका जवाब दीजिए। वो कभी कहते हैं एलजी ने 48 घंटे पहले पॉलिसी बदल दी, 24 घंटे पहले ये बदल दी, डीसी के बच्चे का वरीना हो गया था, वो शादी में चले गया था, उसकी साली उसके साथ भाग गई थी, जवाब ही नहीं देते। तो क्या करें अब? तो सवाल तो पूछने पड़ेंगे ना। अब अरविंद केजरीवाल जी से जो सवाल पूछो तो वो लाखने शुरू कर देते हैं। वो कहते हैं भारत रत्न मिलना चाहिए। कल तक अरविंद केजरीवाल कहते थे लालू प्रसाद, शीला दीक्षित जेल में होनी चाहिए। आजकल कहते हैं कि लालू प्रसाद और शीला दीक्षित जैसे लोग करप्शन करते हैं उनको भारत रत्न मिलना चाहिए। अब इतना यू टर्न हो जाएगा कि करप्शन करने वाले को देश में भारत रत्न देना पड़ेगा, तो बताइए किससे पूछें सवाल? आपसे पूछें, उनसे पूछिए।
सिरसा साहब, हमारे साथ रमेश बिदूरी जी भी जुड़ रहे हैं। रमेश जी, ये जो प्रोटेस्ट कर रही है बीजेपी एंड लॉट ऑफ पीपल हैव बीन डिटेन्ड आल्सो, इससे क्या हासिल होगा?
देखो, इस देश के अंदर, इस देश की अस्मिता के लिए लोग जेल भी गए थे, लोगों ने फांसी के फंदे को भी चूमा था। जब केजरीवाल जैसे ठग और जो जिस चीज को लेकर राजनीति में आए थे कि मैं भ्रष्टाचार दूर करूंगा, देश में कांग्रेस के कारण भ्रष्टाचार से त्रस्त थे लोग, मैं भ्रष्टाचार मुक्त भारत बनाऊंगा, आज वो व्यक्ति कभी सबूत मांगता है, कभी मेरे पास सबूत नहीं है। एक्साइज पॉलिसी की उससे बात करते नहीं करेगा। जब घी, एक कहावत है, जब घी सीधी उंगली से नहीं निकलेगा तो टेढ़ी करनी पड़ेगी। तो देश, दिल्ली की 2.5 करोड़ जनता के साथ जो लूट हुई है, उसके लिए बीइंग ए अपोजिशन पार्टी दिल्ली के अंदर हमारा राइट, हमारा हमारा दायित्व बनता है जी हमारा। अब पुलिस का काम है डिटेन करना, तो पुलिस ने डिटेन किया, पुलिस जेल भी भेज सकती है, भेज दे जेल। लेकिन क्या केजरीवाल मुख्यमंत्री बनने के बाद हमारा वीआईपी हो गए क्या कि उसके घर में अगर लोग सिसोदिया के घर में डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन करने आएंगे तो उनको कमिश्नर को, पुलिस को, उनको ये शिकायत करेंगे कि मेरे घर के सामने इनको पुलिस उठाकर लेके जाए? तो आप रिजाइन ले लीजिए ना, सिसोदिया से क्या रिश्तेदारी है तुम्हारी अब?
रमेश जी, बट बड़ा ही कन्वीनियंटली उंगली टेढ़ी की जा रही है, ये भी तो एलिगेशन बीजेपी के खिलाफ लग रहा है, क्योंकि हमारे जो कुलीग्स हैं ऑन ग्राउंड वो ये बता रहे हैं कि महज 8 बीजेपी एमएलएज वहां पे थे जिन्होंने ये नारेबाजी करनी शुरू की, जिसकी वजह से ये डिटेंशन हुआ। तो एक टोकन प्रोटेस्ट है, बहुत ही कन्वीनियंटली।
नहीं, टोकन प्रोटेस्ट ये दिल्ली की जनता को संदेश देने के लिए, काश आप इसके झांसे में ना आते, आज बीजेपी के 25 विधायक होते तो टोकन नहीं कहते आप इसको जी। तो इसीलिए हमने, हमारे जो एमएलए हैं उनको विधानसभा में बोलने नहीं दिया जाएगा, डिस्कशन होगा नहीं। ये कहेंगे लोकसभा में तो आप भी डिस्कशन पे हड़ोड़दंग होता है। लोकसभा में कभी भी जो अपोजिशन ने डिस्कशन मांगा हमेशा हुआ है, हमेशा। लेकिन अगर लोकसभा को हाईजेक करके चाहे कि पहले हमारा काम कराओ, तो जनता ने चुनकर भेजा है मोदी साहब के नेतृत्व में बीजेपी को। तो प्रायोरिटी कौन सा विषय कब लेना ये सरकार का होता है। केजरीवाल साहब ने 5 दिन हाउस चलाया, आप 6वें दिन लेते भाई, 5वें दिन ले ले, आप डिस्कस ही नहीं करोगे। आप लीकर पॉलिसी में क्यों, क्या रिश्तेदारी थी तुम्हारी, क्यों आपने उन लोगों को जो ब्लैकलिस्टेड थे, तुम्हारी अपनी 2021 लीकर पॉलिसी के तहत टेंडर नहीं देने थी, गिवन आपकी ही पॉलिसी में था कि आप लोग जो काल्टर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है उनको नहीं देंगे, आपने गिवन आपने ही कहा था कि हम लोग जो मैन्युफैक्चर उनको रिटेल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं देंगे। अब इनका जवाब कौन देगा? आपने कमीशन 2% से 12% कर दिया, क्या रिश्तेदारी थी जी आपकी? ये अब ये बताए ना, ओबराय होटल में कभी मनीष सिसोदिया नहीं गया शराब माफियाओं से मिलने के लिए, मना करे मनीष सिसोदिया।
रमेश जी, ये बातें तो बीजेपी सिरे से कह ही रही है। प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई है, संबित पात्रा ने वो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की थी, वो स्टिंग ऑपरेशन वाला वीडियो रिलीज हुआ था, ये बताया गया कि भाई ये वीडियो ऑलरेडी पब्लिक डोमेन में था, हम तो इसको महज सामने रख रहे हैं एक बार फिर और जवाब मांग रहे हैं आम आदमी पार्टी सरकार से। आपसे मैं ये पूछ रही हूँ कि महज 8 एमएलएज, 8 लोग ये प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं, बीजेपी की सभी लोग क्यों नहीं, अगर सिरे से सरकार ये पूछ रही है तो सभी लोग ज्वाइन कर लें। अगर इसी डायरेक्शन में जाना है तो यही करें, अगर सत्याग्रह है या फिर ये एजिटेशन है तो एक साथ किया जाए, क्यों नहीं किया जाए?
नहीं, मैं आपकी बात से सहमत हूँ, बट बीजेपी ने अभी विधानसभा के ऊपर राजघाट पर भी उसका सशक्तिकरण का काम किया था। अभी बीजेपी के 2000 लोगों ने 3 प्रोटेस्ट किए ना बीजेपी के साथ। अभी बीजेपी के लोग इस काम को, हम लोगों की साइनिंग, लोगों की ओपिनियन लेने के लिए घर घर दस्तक देकर लोगों के, आज हमारे पूरे दिन का एमएलए हमारा ये काम कर रहे हैं, एमपी और बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ता घर घर साइनिंग कंपेनिंग कर रहे हैं, लोगों ने सिग्नेचर कंपेनिंग बीजेपी की दिन भर चल रही है, इसी काम में लग रहे हैं। हर गली मोहल्ले में बीजेपी की सिग्नेचर कंपनी आज कंपेनिंग चल रही है, एमएलए ये काम कर रहे हैं। तो काम को तो एक परिवार का बेटा नौकरी करता है, एक हल चलाने जाएगा, वो काम बटे में है ना जी। लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है कि बीजेपी छोड़ देगी, लास्ट तक नहीं छोड़ेगी जी। जब तक सिसोदिया साहब या केजरीवाल साहब ये नहीं बता देंगे कि लीकर पॉलिसी में सिसोदिया ओबराय होटल में इसलिए गया था, बताएं वो हमने 2 से 12% इसलिए किया था, बताएं। बताएं ना क्यों किया था जी।
ऑलराइट, Ramesh Biduri, thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Mr. Manjinder Singh Sirsa for joining us on the broadcast. The BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party, this seems to be a hunger game of sorts between the BJP and the AAP. Both the party workers seem to be going one up against one another, whether it is protesting, whether it is doing those silent protests on the Gandhi Samadhi or the Rajghat, or these violent ones outside residences of the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister or otherwise, and courting arrest seems to be a norm. And then of course there are those press conferences that continue to happen by the bunch, whether it is the Aam Aadmi Party or the BJP. Shifting tracks now. Going on to this next piece of breaking news that we are getting on the broadcast, the search operations over Delhi Liquor Gate continues. The Enforcement Directorate has now extended its area of searches with 38 locations that are now being raided. My colleague Shankar Anand now joins me on the phone line. Shankar, और locations अब raid किए जाएंगे ईडी के द्वारा, और क्या जानकारी दे सकते हैं?
देखिए, अभी तक इस मामले में जानकारी मिल रही थी कि 30 लोकेशन पर सर्च ऑपरेशन को अंजाम दिया जा रहा है, लेकिन अभी ईडी के हमारे सूत्र बता रहे हैं कि अब सर्च वाले जो लोकेशन है उसका दायरा बढ़ाकर 30 से अब 38 तक कर दिया गया है। तो इस वक्त में उन तमाम 38 लोकेशन पर सर्च ऑपरेशन को अंजाम दिया जा रहा है और सर्च ऑपरेशन वाले कई लोकेशन पर अभी इस वक्त में टेक्निकल इक्विपमेंट्स को खंगालने वाली जो टीम है वो कायदा पहुंची है। जो टेक्निकल एक्सपर्ट है ईडी की वो पहुंच करके उन तमाम इक्विपमेंट्स को भी खंगाल रही है और विशेष तौर पर कई जो लैब से जुड़े हुए जो विशेष इक्विपमेंट को लेकर कई लोकेशन पे पहुंची है और वहां पहुंचने के बाद वो मौके वारदात पे ही तमाम सबूतों को इकट्ठा करने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है। यानी कि जो मौके वारदात पे पहुंच करके जो तमाम सबूत इकट्ठा हो रहे हैं, तमाम जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक एविडेंस है उसको इकट्ठा करने का काम किया जा रहा है। तो पिछले कुछ सालों पहले ही ईडी के द्वारा स्टार्ट किया गया था कि मौके पे जाकर के किस तरह से फॉरेंसिक एविडेंस को इकट्ठा करना है और विशेष तरह से इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गैजेट्स जो हैं उसका एक जेरॉक्स कॉपी तैयार करना वो किया जा रहा है। और जिस तरह से अगर कहा जाए कि जिस तरह से आबकारी नीति यानी एक्साइज पॉलिसी को प्रभावित करने वाले जो कई अन्य आरोपी हैं उसके खिलाफ इस वक्त में सर्च ऑपरेशन को अंजाम दिया जा रहा है, जिसकी भूमिका इस पूरे पॉलिसी में काफी महत्वपूर्ण रही है। तो एक तरह से कह सकते हैं कई ऐसे आरोपी हैं जिसके खिलाफ अब इस सर्च ऑपरेशन को और ज्यादा बढ़ाया जा रहा है और ये सर्च ऑपरेशन देर शाम तक चलता रहेगा और 38 लोकेशन पर इस वक्त में ईडी की टीम मौके पे मौजूद है और तमाम सबूतों को खंगालने में जुटी है।
All right, Shankar, thank you so much for joining us with all those details. So search operations continue as far as the liquor gate scam is concerned, and now we are being told that the Enforcement Directorate has extended its area of searches with now 38 locations that are being looked at. On that note, I'm slipping into a very short break here on CNN News 18. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.
Unstoppable 19-week sprint. India's indisputable #1. CNN News 18 on your side.
Rajpath and Central Vista lawns at Kartavya Path. The redeveloped stretch has red granite walkways spreading around 1.1 lakh square meter with greenery all around. This is the first project that has been completed under the Modi government's ambitious Central Vista redevelopment plan. A video of a doctor bringing a man back to life is now going viral. During a routine consultation, the patient is suddenly losing consciousness, his head rolling back. But the doctor springs into action and gives him CPR by thumping his chest. After a few anxious moments, the man regains consciousness. A Telangana teenager's attempt at an Instagram reel really backfired. Let's take a look. The class 11 student was shooting a video of him walking along the track trying to have the moving train as his background. But the stunt went horribly wrong because the train hit the teen, tossing him in the air. The 17-year-old suffered grievous head injury as a result of the collision. He is currently undergoing treatment at a hospital in Warangal district. It's yet another reminder that the pursuit to make Instagram reels and TikTok videos for a few seconds of fame could cost people their lives. Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who met BJP leaders, is in Mumbai today, had a clear message for the party. Uddhav Thackeray has betrayed the BJP and must be taught a lesson. He also said that the Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde has the real Shiv Sena with him. Shah was holding a strategy meeting for the upcoming BMC polls. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is in the national capital reaching out to opposition leaders. He met Congress MP Rahul Gandhi this evening, is expected to hold talks with Arvind Kejriwal and Sharad Pawar tomorrow. But he continued to rule out any prime ministerial ambitions and said he's focused on strengthening the opposition unity. At least 4 people were killed in a massive fire that broke out at a hotel in Lucknow.
The fire broke out on the 3rd floor of Hotel Levana in the posh Hazratganj area of Lucknow. Around 35 to 40 people were trapped inside when a heavy cloud of smoke was seen coming out of the hotel. 15 fire tenders and 13 ambulances rushed to the spot.
After almost 3 hours of continuous rescue operation in which the fire tenders were around 12 fire tenders were present in service, and also the team of State Disaster Relief Force, the SDRF members, they were present inside, after which now the fire has been brought under control.
Emergency relief teams broke the windows of the hotel to try and rescue people trapped inside. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath visited the injured in the hospital. The fire is suspected to have been caused by a short circuit. The owners of the hotel, along with the manager, have been taken into custody.
The DRDO has finalized the design for a conventional ballistic missile and is awaiting a nod from the centre. It's about 1,500-kilometre range conventionally armed ballistic missile. The missile will deter any ship-based threat, will counter any land-based threat from across the LAC. It's awaiting the green signal to move to the development stage. The PLA, remember, has growing arsenal of conventional land-based missiles. More than a dozen sand-laden tractors sped through a toll plaza in Agra.
Welcome back. You're watching CNN News 18 with me, Griha. Let's now get you the latest update on Bengaluru rains, as heavy downpour in the city has now claimed the life of a 23-year-old woman. The girl allegedly touched an electric pole while crossing the flooded road in Siddhapura on Monday night. She was shifted to the nearby hospital. However, she later succumbed to her injuries. Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai slammed and accused the previous Congress governments for the city's poor civic conditions. Meanwhile, the Met Department has predicted heavy rainfall till Wednesday for Bengaluru. The Karnataka government has decided to release 300 crore rupees to restore damaged infrastructure like roads, electric poles, transformers and schools, and 600 crore rupees to manage the rain and flood situation across the state of Karnataka. The central study team will also be visiting Bengaluru today to review the flood situation. Meanwhile, we are getting some breaking news from Bengaluru, where Youth Congress has decided to carry out a protest against the BJP government for neglecting people's problem. The protest has taken place at the Eco Space in Bengaluru, and we are also getting you the visuals from this very protest. These are Youth Congress members who are protesting against the BJP government in the state. My colleague Neetu joins us on the broadcast for more. Neetu, just take us through what is happening in Bengaluru at the moment. We see that Youth Congress is protesting, and it's happening at the IT hub, Eco Space.
Yes, exactly. As you pointed out, it's the Silicon City which is badly affected right now because of the heavy downpour from past few days, and more rain is also predicted for the upcoming 3-4 days. With all that, you see today Youth Congress had carried this protest out in Bengaluru, right in front of ecosystem, which is completely flooded. So you can also see Nalpad, who is the Youth Congress president, who is mocking and trying to get into a kind of entire boat over there and trying to swim as well. So that's how the Youth Congress is mocking the BJP government, and are also, alleging about the 40% commission charges that this government has looked up to. And today, people are being neglected completely. So with all that, you see the police had to reach the spot and try and convince these youth members, saying that there is already a lot of havoc that has been created on the ground because of the heavy rainfall. With all this is also going to hinder a massive traffic jam over there, because in the visuals we can also see a traffic jam right there. So with all that, police tried convincing these youth leaders and convinced, in fact, and also tried dispersing the youth. But of course, they are, in fact, trying to mock the BJP government for the kind of a crumbling infrastructure that the IT city is witnessing.
Absolutely. Ritu, also just take us through what is the situation when it comes to Bengaluru. Are the rains still happening? Are they still on? And this team, the study team that the Chief Minister claimed is going to be visiting the spot to take stock of the situation, what is happening on that account?
So yes, to answer your first question, how the situation looks like right now on the ground is the cloudy, it's still cloudy here in the Bengaluru, because over the day there won't be a rain, but all of a sudden the rain intensifies at night. So that's when the visuals turn out to be very much pathetic in the morning. And for all of them who are trying to sleep peacefully, the night is turning out to be a nightmare for them, because the scenes that are being witnessed in the morning is all are very different and opposite of what they are imagining. So that's the kind of a life that right now the IT city is living. And the other question that I have to answer is about the central team, which is likely to visit Bengaluru today. The CM Basavaraj Bommai had also told that the central team will be studying this situation right now, because how the areas have been affected, how the state is also been affected because of the heavy downpour. So central team will be studying this whole, and then bring out and advices for the state government and civic bodies to how look up to the further situation, because it's all that it started raining badly in the July month, where you see now, September, and we're still getting to see this kind of a situation right now in the Karnataka, because it's a complete monsoon, full-fledged monsoon that we are witnessing. So with all that, of course, there's a huge damage that has been made, almost around what the CM Basuraj himself had pointed out, estimate of rupees 225 crores of damage has been seen. And the IT hubs, are completely right now up in arms, because
Absolutely.
It was COVID back then which had affected, and now this is a heavy downpour which is affecting their work life. This being an IT city and the state government trying to pull out a lot of FDI will badly affect because of this kind of a crumbling infrastructure and a poor planning.
Absolutely. Ritu, thank you so much for joining us with all the updates from Bengaluru. In fact, let me open this for our viewers who are joining us on the broadcast. As rain takes another life in Bengaluru, the Bomai government is blaming the predecessor governments. Now, is the Chief Minister and the government in the state shirking responsibility? Call us and share your views. We are flashing that number for you on your screens there. We'd like to hear from you, especially Bengalurians, on what do they have to say about the situation in their city at the moment, and once that's laid bare every year. Let me now take this across to my guest who's also joining me on the broadcast. B.S. Arun, senior journalist, is joining me on CNN News 18. Mr. Arun, thank you so much for being a part of this discussion. Something that we've been doing for at least yesterday. However, we do not seem to have come to a conclusion on what should be the immediate solution. What do you think should be the answer to that?
No, I don't think there is any immediate solution for this, because this is a problem which has come to the Bengalurians, especially the people living in that part of the city, in the eastern part. After so many decades, this part started growing in the 90s when the IT sector started growing in Bangalore. If you see now, over the last 2 days, while it has rained the entire city, it is this eastern part which has got affected most because of the shoddy planning and implementation, as well as encroachments of lakes and other areas. So that's the problem. The issue here is, as you had asked, there is no sort of one solution or overnight solution for this. There needs to be sustained planning. First of all, they have to remove the encroachments. Okay. That will take time. They have to identify the encroachment. When it rained last week, Bombay did a tour of this area and instructed the authorities, to identify the encroached, land. And I believe some 20 to 25% of land that are encroached has been identified. And now the notices have to be given and the demolitions have to be carried out. Okay. So it's going to take time. There will also be pressure from different quarters not to demolish these structures. Then there has to be separate planning also as to what to do with the encroached land, as well as to set right what has happened now. The water clogging in the low-lying areas, how to overcome that. So this is going to be a long-term plan and a long-term issue. I don't think there is any one-stop solution for this.
There has to be a start, definitely. Mr. Arun, stay on with me. Let me take this across to one caller who's joining us on the broadcast. Kishore is joining me from Bengaluru. Yes, Kishore, do you agree that this is obviously a collective effort and effort to actually spoil the city of Bengaluru, the IT hub that India continues to actually boast of, the Silicon Valley of the country? However, these encroachments that have been allowed to actually spring up closer to the lake and the eastern area that my guest Mr. Arun was just mentioning about has led to and brought the city to where it is today? Kishore, if you can hear me. Let me take this to Asha, who is now joining us from Mumbai. Asha, your views on what you see happening in Bengaluru, and of course Mumbai is also a victim of exactly the same situation.
No, Mumbai handles its problems well. Unless this new government has come and they are concreting even Maidans. So you will have no earth available anywhere to take the water into seepage. Now, let me handle this in a little different way. Let's look at it nationally. We are in floods everywhere. Have you seen even one MLA, one person from BJP putting their feet in the water and finding out what is the problem over there? They don't want to do that. We have floods, but they will sit and go and chase Sisodia. This is basically because nature is answering back to you. There are fire, there is floods, there is no trees. Even in Maharashtra, Mr. Fadnavis is cutting all the trees to put his, metro. Now, if you continue to expand by building Vista, now what did you do in Vista? You put all the offices, all the government areas into a garden space and left it like Pentagon to be bombed. So everyone who is over there, who's leading the government, including the president, the prime minister, will be bombed. Because you people are not in media. If you stop backing the government and try and think and research, you will find out what's happening in Bangalore. It's not the fault of the BJP government or the Congress whom we are blaming. It is the fault of the government who's sitting in the center, which is the union government. And they have no ajurba in handling the problems of this nation. We are still getting people dying at the boundaries. We are building ships and taking credit for it, which you didn't do anything. We built this whole nation. I'm a granddaughter of this founder member of the Indian National Congress. We gave 2 of our sons to the army. They came back with wounds and everything.
Well, absolutely. And the apathy is something that the government, which is sitting at the center, is not really looking at. That is the view of one of the callers who has joined us from Mumbai. Let me take this across to Murli, who is now joining us from Bengaluru. Yes, Murli?
Yeah. This is Murli here from Bangalore. I stay somewhere in south of Bangalore, in fact. I was staying in northeast of Bangalore earlier, around about 15 years back. That is near this IT hub and all that. That is Whitefield. I stayed near Whitefield and near the Bengaluru lake itself. In fact, those days also I used to see this, the smoke and the cotton-like thing coming from the lake and all that. It was happening that time also, in fact. Nobody was taking cognizance of it. Now, and I used to see the development. In fact, the traffic was not so bad that side at the time. But I shifted after some time to the side, towards the west and the south side. And now I find if I go that side, in fact, crossing 2 kilometers takes around about hour. In fact, 2 to 3 kilometers it takes an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. That is the speed in which the development has taken place that side. It is not a lack of one government. In fact, there has been lapses of number of governments which have been there for a long time. In fact, not today. This is happening for some time. And the same situation happened in Chennai. They encroached on the lake and lake bodies and all that. And the situation today, Raja Kalve is there. All the Raj Kalve has been acquired and apartments have come in the IT area, in fact. Now, where I stay here, there is no problem as much as what is happening that side. So I feel this is the unplanned development which has been left for a long time. And so-called IT people who, in fact, so-called they say they are not getting that, this, and all that. They should understand that they are also part of the system where they have contributed to all these problems.
Absolutely.
Also.
And too many encroachments, of course, are doing this to Bengaluru, what we see today. Let me also get in Prahlad, who is joining us from Bellary. Yes, Prahlad.
मैं हिंदी में बात कर सकता हूँ मैडम?
जी प्लीज।
मेरे को इतना दुख हो रहा है कि खाली बेंगलुरु का बारिश ही सब लोग दिखा, हर एक टीवी वाले, और ये 40% वोटिंग करने वाले लोग हैं। ये लोग डेमोक्रेसी के अपोजिशन लोग हैं, ये बेंगलुरु वाले, और सबसे ज्यादा सुविधा इनको मिलता है। हाँ मैडम बोलिए।
बेल्लारी में अभी क्या हालत है, क्या हालात हैं, आप प्लीज बताइए।
बेल्लारी में इतना बारिश नहीं है मैडम, इतना बारिश नहीं है। हम लोग फैन लगा के सोते हैं इधर, इतना गर्मी है बेल्लारी में।
Okay, let me get in Shoaib, who is joining us from Bengaluru also. Shoaib, Which area are you calling from, and what is the situation there?
See, I'm calling from nearby the Manyata Tech Park.
Okay.
It's a very famous tech park in Bangalore. You'll find a lot of waterlogging around. I mean, this is a repeating story that you would find every year on year, like year on year. This is nothing new, all right? The only difference is the government is worried about everything else except development. We talk about everything else, right? From food habits, eating habits, living habits, whom you're talking, whom you're not talking to,
yes,
unnecessary things. But what about this? This is a livelihood. This is how it impacts. And I'm part of the IT sector. Believe me, our brand image of Bengaluru gets impacted drastically. And this is not what all these years, 20 years of hard work goes down the drain like that water goes down the drain.
Oh, absolutely. A very important point that Shoaib, you're making. This is not what Bengaluru should be known for. Of course, we boast of the IT city. We boast of it being the Silicon Valley of the country, among other things. Of course, people dream of going to Bengaluru, and that's their post-retirement plan. That is what the city is known for. Not this. Let me actually bring in another caller, Rajesh, who's also joining us from Bengaluru. Yes, Rajesh.
Hello.
Yes, Rajesh, please go ahead.
Ma'am, like how they penalize us for everything and everything. So every small thing they penalize us. Why don't we hold them responsible also for what they are doing?
Yes.
Yeah, so like for everything they penalize us, who's responsible for all this? Why don't they get punished?
Absolutely. So you feel the government and the state should actually go ahead and act much more than what they are doing at the moment? What is it that you demand?
Yes, exactly. Exactly, because they're blocking all the drainages, they're blocking everything, they're giving it to those big builders.
Absolutely.
And taking bribes from them and doing everything for them.
Absolutely. I'll take one more caller on the broadcast. Prabhakar is also joining us from Bengaluru. Prabhakar, what are your views?
Hello. I am from Bangalore.
Yes.
This Bangalore actually had 600 lakes earlier. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead, Prabhakar.
600 lakes earlier. Now that the city has come, they gradually with the help of the municipal authority, builders, mafias and land mafias and ministers and all these MLAs, everybody is in collusion. They have occupied the lakes. Now lake has hit back Bangalore. There is nothing new. And as an engineer, I know you cannot do anything.
Absolutely. Now, Prabhakar, thank you so much. I'd also like to thank all the people who are joining us, calling us live. Let me come back to you, Mr. Arun. We've heard so many people, all of them joining us from Bengaluru, talking about how there is a builder-politician nexus that is in cahoots with actually bringing the city to where it is at the moment. One caller made a very important point about how the drains are being blocked because there is construction over it. How do we actually see that all the water that has now been clogged, how do we actually see it being drained out? That will be the big worry, ready worry at the hands of the state government at the moment.
Yeah, it's a difficult proposition. If it continues to rain, like right now there is no rain, but then over the last 2 days it started raining only in the evening around 6 o'clock yesterday and 8 o'clock day before yesterday, and it rained till early morning. It rained quite heavily till early morning. So the thing is, even if you pump out during the day, and if it rains again in the night, so pumping out water is a Herculean task. So the problem is there are no, forget the stormwater drains. We call it Raja Kaluways here. There's not even proper drainage, on the two sides of the road. So in such a situation, it's very difficult to even imagine how they blocked, the road, the water goes out.
More importantly, there's so much being spent on these stormwater drains by the government in the state. There is so much of funds that's been set aside, but however, nothing has been done about it. That's also something because of, the nexus that I was talking about, and also these allegations of kickbacks. That is, one too many. That's something that we need to actually bring to fore. Right here on the broadcast also, there are too many issues when it comes to where Bengaluru is today. We will actually continue to question the government in the state and what is it that it is doing to actually see an immediate solution to the problems of Bengalurians. We'll leave it at that. HS Arun, I'd like to thank you for joining us on the broadcast on this very important conversation, slipping into a very short break at the moment and coming right back.
Spinning and slowly ascending. The swing then stopped at a height and continued to spin. But instead of descending slowly, the swing went into a free fall. The swing came crashing down with such force that many people were flung out of their seats. More than 16 people, mostly children, were injured in the freak accident. To make matters worse, there was no ambulance stationed at the crowded fair for any accident, which means that medical care to the injured was delayed.
The centre has decided to rename Delhi's historic Rajpath and Central Vista lawns at Kartavya Path. The redeveloped stretch has red granite walkways spreading around 1.1 lakh square metre with greenery all around. This is the first project that has been completed under the Modi government's ambitious Central Vista redevelopment plan. A video of a doctor bringing a man back to life is now going viral. During a routine consultation, the patient is suddenly losing consciousness, his head rolling back. But the doctor springs into action and gives him CPR by thumping his chest. After a few anxious moments, the man regains consciousness. A Telangana teenager's attempt at an Instagram reel really backfired. Let's take a look. The class 11 student was shooting a video of him walking along the track, trying to have the moving train as his background. But the stunt went horribly wrong because the train hit the teen, tossing him in the air. The 17-year-old suffered grievous head injury as a result of the collision. He is currently undergoing treatment at a hospital in Warangal district. It's yet another reminder that the pursuit to make Instagram reels and TikTok videos for a few seconds of fame could cost people their lives. Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who met BJP leaders, is in Mumbai today, had a clear message for the party. Uddhav Thackeray has betrayed the BJP and must be taught a lesson. He also said that the Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde has a real Shiv Sena with him. Shah was holding a strategy meeting for the upcoming BMC polls. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is in the national capital, reaching out to opposition leaders. He met Congress MP Rahul Gandhi this evening, is expected to hold talks with Arvind Kejriwal and Sharad Pawar tomorrow. But he continued to rule out any prime ministerial ambitions and said he's focused on strengthening the opposition unity. At least 4 people were killed in a massive fire that broke out at a hotel in Lucknow.
The fire broke out on the 3rd floor of Hotel Livana in the posh Hazrat Ganj area of Lucknow. Around 35 to 40 people were trapped inside when a heavy cloud of smoke was seen coming out of the hotel. 15 fire tenders and 13 ambulances rushed to the spot.
After almost 3 hours of continuous rescue operation in which the fire tenders were around 12 fire tenders were present in service, and also the team of State Disaster Relief Force, the SDRF members, they were present inside, after which now the fire has been brought under control.
Emergency relief teams broke the windows of the hotel to try and rescue people trapped inside. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath visited the injured in the hospital. The fire is suspected to have been caused by a short circuit. The owners of the hotel, along with the manager, have been taken into custody.
The DRDO has found.
Welcome back. Getting you some breaking news now. Support for Indian pacer Arshdeep Singh continues, and now the legendary cricketer Sachin Tendulkar has backed the youngster. He has said that players must always be supported and personal attacks should be avoided. My colleague Shivani Gupta now joins us on the broadcast. Shivani, the support for Arshdeep continues to grow, especially from the cricketing fraternity, and that speaks volumes about the sporting spirit that the game actually stands for.
Yes, and these words coming in from none other than Sachin Tendulkar will mean a lot to Arshdeep, who's still pretty young, and his cricketing career is, just in its nascent stage. Because if there's anybody who understands what pressure playing for India is like, then it's Sachin Tendulkar. I mean, let's not forget that this man has undergone immense scrutiny as a cricketer. Every move of his used to be watched. Every innings was high stakes, and he's carried a lot of pressure for India. So he knows what it's like in high stakes matches, especially the ones like against Pakistan, the one that Arshdeep dropped a catch in. So words like these coming in for Arshdeep will mean a lot. And it's good to see that the message is coming from none other than Sachin Tendulkar, also for the larger fan community, or just people on social media who may be fans or not. Otherwise, sometimes they misuse their access to social media to create these controversies, that personal attacks should be kept out of sport. Because in sport, there's going to be a good day and a bad day. Somebody is going to win or lose, which doesn't mean that it is not high stakes, which doesn't mean that players don't give their all or take it lightly. But personal attacks have no space when it comes to sport.
Absolutely. Shivani, thank you so much for all that. In fact, a very important message also that Sachin Tendulkar has put out, saying just as much that personal attacks should be kept away from not just cricket, but any form of sports. We'll leave it at that, slipping into a very short break and coming right back.
System. It's the largest arms sale since Joe Biden took office. China is now breathing fire and threatening to take resolute and strong measures to firmly defend its sovereignty and security interests. The acrimony between the United States and China over Taiwan has increased ever since House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to the island. Taiwan is a self-ruled island, but China sees it as a breakaway province. China has accused the United States and Taiwan of creating instability by rejecting Beijing's claim to sovereignty over the island. China has made a record number of incursions into Taiwan's airspace last month. 446 PLA planes crossed into Taiwan's airspace. 1,098 incursions by PLA planes so far this year. Chinese ships cross the median line every day. This year's incursions far higher than 380 in 2020. In October 2021, there were 196 sorties done by the PLA. Liz Truss defeated rival Rishi Sunak to become the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. She will become the Conservative Party's fourth Prime Minister since elections in 2015. Liz Truss replaces Boris Johnson, who was, remember, forced to announce his resignation in July after months of scandal.
I will deliver a bold plan to cut taxes and grow our economy. I will deliver on the energy crisis, dealing with people's energy bills, but also dealing with the long-term issues we have on energy supply. And I will deliver on the National Health Service. We all will deliver for our country.
A horrific accident at a fair in Mohali was caught on camera.
At first, this high-rise swing packed with people was spinning and slowly ascending. The swing then stopped at a height and continued to spin. But instead of descending slowly, the swing went into a free fall. The swing came crashing down with such force that many people were flung out of their seats. More than 16 people, mostly children, were injured in the freak accident. To make matters worse, there was no ambulance stationed at the crowded fair for any accident, which means that medical care to the injured was delayed.
The centre has decided to rename Delhi's historic Rajpath and Central Vista lawns at Kartavya Path. The redeveloped stretch has red granite walkways spreading around 1.1 lakh square metre with greenery all around. This is the first project that has been completed under the Modi government's ambitious Central Vista redevelopment plan. A video of a doctor bringing a man back to life is now going viral. During a routine consultation, the patient is suddenly losing consciousness, his head rolling back. But the doctor springs into action and gives him CPR by thumping his chest. After a few anxious moments, the man regains consciousness. A Telangana teenager's attempt at an Instagram reel really backfired. Let's take a look. The class 11 student was shooting a video of him walking along the track, trying to have the moving train as his background. But the stunt went horribly wrong because the train hit the teen, tossing him in the air. The 17-year-old suffered grievous head injury as a result of the collision. He is currently undergoing treatment at a hospital in Warangal district. It's yet another reminder that the pursuit to make Instagram reels and TikTok videos for a few seconds of fame could cost people their lives. Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who met BJP leaders, is in Mumbai today, had a clear message for the party. Uddhav Thackeray has betrayed the BJP and must be taught a lesson. He also said that the Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde
Welcome back. This is CNN News 18. Now, ahead of the International Coastal Cleanup Day on the 17th of September, beaches across the country are seeing a fresh drive to keep them clean. My colleague Arunama caught up with a group in Kochi and brought us this report. Take a look.
It is a beautiful morning at the Puthuvai beach in Kochi. Fit for morning walks, building sandcastles, soaking in the sun and the sea. But this group is here for something far more important. School students, veterans from defense forces, environmental activists get together every weekend or on holidays to help these beaches breathe. To remove as much plastic waste as possible and make visitors aware of the need for a clean coast.
Kerala is a 589-kilometer coastal belt is in Kerala. That is spread over 9 revenue districts. So every district at that time we have to gather 200 to 300 people on that day
to clean the beaches.
Clean the beaches.
This is happening in Waipin area. We have some 28 kilometers beach. So our plan is to associate every people and come together to do this mission.
This group of kids here, if you can speak English or Hindi, apni age batayenge?
12.
12. What's your age?
12.
You're also 12. यूजुअली जब बच्चे सी बीच पे आते हैं तो समुंदर में सीधे घुस जाते हैं, सैंड कैसल बनाते हैं, पानी से खेलते हैं. आप लोग यहाँ कूड़ा उठा रहे हैं. मतलब कैसे ये आइडिया आया?
We saw the place and saw the garbage lying around. We wanted to clean the area and keep it swachh.
We would like to aware all the people that all of you you say that when they eat chips or anything like the plastic are disposed, they didn't dispose and throw it into the beaches or coastal areas. May talk to them and don't throw the waste and it's harmful. And at that time they realize, oh sorry, yeah.
विदेश में जो उधर का गवर्नमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन वो सुबह आएगा, वो सब कलेक्ट करेगा, वो इधर उधर नहीं फेंकता है. उधर हम लोग का वो ऐसा करने का एक वेस्ट बॉक्स है तो भी उसमें डालने का एक प्रोसेस नहीं है.
Not just Kochi, you might see similar scenes across beaches in Thiruvananthapuram, Kasaragod, Bengaluru, Udupi, Digha, Haldia and many other places. To commemorate International Coastal Cleanup Day on the 17th of September, the centre has launched a campaign to raise awareness and clean up the coast. The 75-day-long campaign, in sync with celebrations of the 75th year of independence, was launched on the 5th of July. The motive is to make people aware that the empty packet of chips you leave behind on the beach could land on your table in a different avatar.
The more we pollute, the whatever pollution that is reaching, the microplastics, it is reaching our diet, in our plate.
7,500-kilometer long coastline, 24 states, 5,200 volunteers and a target of removing 1,500 tons of garbage. That's the mission with which the ministry, the government of India, the volunteers across these states have all started with. Within the first 20 days of this campaign, about 200 tons of garbage was already removed. and that has encouraged the volunteers much more. The message that they're giving is this is not a one-time exercise. It is not one time or for 1 month or 3 months that you should ensure garbage-free beaches. This should be a lifelong campaign, because what you throw in the sea ultimately comes back to your plate. With Ravinder Kumar in Kochi, this is Arunima.
Good evening, you're watching Nation at 5. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. Bengaluru continues to deal with the flood crisis. Heavy downpour in the city has claimed the life of a 23-year-old woman. The girl reportedly touched an electric pole while crossing a flooded road. She then succumbed to her injuries while she was being treated at a nearby hospital. Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai has accused previous Congress governments for the city's poor civic conditions. Meanwhile, the Congress today protested over the government's mismanagement. Now, the Met Department has predicted heavy rainfall till Wednesday. Karnataka government has decided to release 300 crore to restore the damaged infrastructure.
You can see the complete outer ring road is waterlogged, and that's the kind of situation that has been created here because of the heavy downpour. There's a complete traffic jam as well that is witnessed on this particular road here. So that's the difficulty where motorists or all have to get down from their two-wheeler and then move and towards their location. They are literally walking from this deep knee-level water. So many schools, colleges which are located from this particular location, where the students are also finding it very much troublesome to walk in this water, which is very much stinking as well. So the traffic police are trying to divert the traffic from here. They are requesting people to not choose this particular road to travel.
It's mostly who are suffering are the employees, because once they left the home, they're neither able to go back, neither enter. Okay, and this situation has been happening not from 1 or 2 years, it's been happening from the past 10 years. There is no proper encroachment, it's only the security. Yesterday we had a person drowning here. It's only the security person who was here to help, and few of our police personnel who are struggling day in and day out here. Apart from that, we don't see anyone else. And this has been happening.
Colleagues who are working here, it's affecting them a lot. For them, they have to either do work from home or just take leaves off. And that's cancelling their paycheck and everything as well.
In the basement, their vehicles were there, and because water went inside, so they could not go back home also. So they were stuck here.
Where will the water will go? When you block the Rajkalwas, where will the water go? Tell me. That is the main root cause.
क्या करें, पूरा भीग गए तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है.
Situation is very bad. Also, we are not getting any daily services like Swiggy, Zomato, or our housemate is not able to come. Also, I have heard that drinking water supply will also be affected for 2 days. So it's a huge tension kind of a situation for us. We both were not able to go to our office today.
Our officers, our engineers, our workers, our SDRF team is working 24/7. We have cleared a lot of encroachments, and we are going to continue to clear them. Wherever there is an issue, they will rush within few hours. And we have started dewatering in most of the places. I think 1 or 2 places there is a problem. Otherwise, all the areas have also been dewatered. This is done because of maladministration and totally unplanned administration of the previous government, Congress government.
Almost all the places where the water was stagnating and people were getting waterlogged, almost all of them are over. This is the worst affected area right now because the Raj Kalwe is obstructed. We have started the removal of obstruction since morning. Yesterday we tried, but our equipments were not in a position to cut that strong concrete, etc. Today we are more equipped and we are doing it. Maybe we will run the operation till the middle of the night, 2 or 3 a.m. and by that time we are very sure that this water will go. This water is the backwater of the big primary drain which is overflowing. So once that recedes, this will automatically go.
Let me also now bring in our guest to take this discussion forward. We have Sandeep Anirudhan, convener Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru. Good to have you, Sandeep, on the broadcast with us. Before I get talking about the problems and the solutions, I quickly just want to understand from yesterday to today, which are the areas that continue to be a priority?
Well, all the low-lying areas of Bengaluru are a priority. And if you go back historically, about 30 to 50% of Bengaluru were low-lying marshes. These are wetlands. And the government has not notified the Wetland Act 2017, under which it is supposed to notify every wetland, Rajakaluwe, stormwater drain, floodplains, lakes, ponds, and rivers, and protect them. So the responsibility for this flood lies squarely at the door of the government, present and previous, who are not notifying the Wetland Act. Why are they not doing it? Because if they don't do it, it allows private parties and, of course, corrupt government officials to encroach on all these low-lying areas. That is exactly what's happening. They're encroaching these, they're filling it with soil, and then constructions come up, roads come up. Eventually, when it rains, rain goes along the same path. It continues to remember its history and flows along these paths, and then they get drowned.
Yeah.
Decades, there are no planning. There's IT wave from the 80s.
Yeah,
It created
that is
all
a
these
pattern
new
that we've been
developments in the
seeing
periphery of
over the last couple of months in Bengaluru. That the old structure seems to be okay. It's only Professor Chandan Gaura, professor at ISEC Bengaluru, also now joining us on the broadcast. Professor, good to have you on the broadcast with us. One of the key issues due to which we are seeing what's playing out in Bengaluru is encroachment. While on one hand, yes, climate change is a reality that we all have to deal with. When a city gets the highest rainfall it is seen in 3 decades, there is bound to be some sort of repercussions. But what is in our control? That is as far as encroachment is concerned. Don't you then feel it is more about a shared responsibility rather than just passing the buck?
Shared responsibility between?
The citizens and the state government?
Yeah. No, I absolutely, there are multiple levels of failure here and responsibility, if you I mean, for one, we don't have the municipal, BBMP, the Brihat Bangalore Mahanagara Palike, which is the chief municipal body to govern the city. It has not seen an election in 2 years. It's been run by a commissioner. Just imagine if the corporators had all been in their place, they would have been representing the voices of their wards more effectively, and we would have heard a more diversity of voices about the problems earlier on. This is a key problem. And so it's essentially, it's the government, the elected state government, the chief minister has the urban development ministry. They are calling the key decisions now. Yes, we can see how the problem has been in the making for a fairly long time. There was a report early in 2001 called the N.K. Patil report that spoke which the High Court endorsed, very clearly said the encroachments were a problem and it had to be cleared in categorical terms. Sure. And it had a very nice roadmap for how to proceed. But it's been 20 years since no one seems to care about that report. And more recently, last year, 2021, the CAG issued a report on how the stormwater management of Bangalore has happened between 2013 and 2018, and it had a series of recommendations. So the problem is familiar.
So the problem is familiar. Recommendations have been made. One sec, I just apologize for interrupting Professor Gaura. I want to take in a quick reaction from the BJP. Mohan Krishna of the BJP now joining us. Mohan Krishna, citizens are angry, activists are angry, everybody is saying the same thing. The problem is not new. Today, Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai has come out and passed the buck saying all of this is happening because of the lack of work done by the Congress government. Okay, we'll ask them questions, but you've been in power for the state. What have you done to address and solve those issues?
Ridhima, the thing is that we have, as the Chief Minister has said, perfectly right, he has said in the context of the planning of the Bangalore. Right now the situation is, it is in 90 years for the first time we have got this kind of a rain. And now I would like to give citizens a kind of a relief for them that he has already approached ISRO and we are going to clear all the stormwater encroachments, that is Rajakaluwe encroachments. And as per that, we are going to take the satellite pictures from the ISRO and we are going to work on that. Our people, government people, BBMP officials and everybody, including the MLAs and
But Mohan Krishna, you know, we spoke yesterday and you gave me exactly the same answer, that the state government has contacted ISRO and you're going to work with satellite images. What the state government doesn't realize is that time is of the essence today. With each passing hour, citizens continue to bear the brunt. Today, we have a young life that is lost only because we're not able to contain the situation. So we cannot completely bank when the images will come from ISRO. You can work with that later. What about the immediate solutions to get some sort of relief? This is the IT hub at the end of the day that we're talking about, sir.
Look, Ridhima, the issue is, in this kind of a rain, it was not expected. Bangalore has it. Even now, it is so cloudy, we are worried. As I told you yesterday also, you are just worried about the people apathy. We are worried about getting back people. They have to get back to their houses, get back to their work. And we have to give the immediate relief. Our NGOs, we have requested our NGOs, our RSS workers also, they are working day and night.
Sir, I'll just request you to stay on with us. Let me take in a reaction from the Congress also. DK Shivkumar now joining us on the broadcast. Sir, good to have you on the broadcast with us. Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai and spokespersons of the BJP are saying today whatever happening in Bengaluru is simply because of the lack of work done by the previous Congress governments.
What there is the only job they can do is blaming others. They have a government, they have a double engine government. They should understand this IT corridor, Bangalore city, is a city which is feeding the country. It is feeding the country economically. 39% of the revenue is coming from the IT sector for the entire country. And they are not able to plan well for that. They are just 3 years down the line, they could have planned whatever they would have got. What is the need of letting rains are coming from last 3 years? It was in the northern Karnataka. Now it has come to the southern Karnataka. And we are suffering a lot.
But Mr. Shivkumar, while